Hi guy, welcome TCTV spoilers. There are days in Genoa City when it feels like the air itself knows how to eavesdrop. And if you look closely, you'll notice everything starts from something so small that everyone dismisses it. A meeting that seems ordinary. A door left slightly ajar. A stare that lingers half a second too long. And then it turns into fuel. I keep thinking about Michael and that exact race of men who's lived for years on the thin line between law and loyalty. Someone who can hold other people's secrets like it's just part of the job, but who forgets that some secrets aren't safe just because you keep them quiet. He goes to see Victor with that familiar mix of urgency and confidence-eth kind of confidence that comes from believing you're still allowed to exist in the Newman orbit. Michael has walked out of wars before and walked back in. Like a loyal hired soldier, questioned at times, resented at times, but still called when the family needs a fixer. And maybe that's exactly what makes him dangerous, because he started to believe he can't be erased from the board. But this time, when he arrives, it's Adam. Only Adam. Standing there like a second door, a door that doesn't lead into Victor's office, but down into a pit. And that pit feels painfully familiar in Genoa City. It doesn't swallow you in one bite. It lets you slide in slowly through choices that seem harmless. I imagine Michael thinking, it's fine. It's just Adam, and yet Adam isn't the kind of person you walk past without paying a price. Adam looks at Michael the way you look at a contract with hidden fraud in the fine print. The way you look at a vow that has begun to rot from the inside. Michael reacts on instinct, reaching for the most symbolic proof he has: the Roman coin Victor gave him. Something small, something heavy with meaning. Like holding it up can rewrite the moment into, I'm still on his side. Michael flashes it like a seal, like a guarantee. But then Adam's silence is what turns the room cold. Adam isn't impressed. And I think that's the first second Michael truly understands a bitter truth. Some people don't believe in symbols because they worship practical power. Adam may respect Victor, fear Victor, even crave Victor's kind of authority, but Adam does not grant immunity. Just because Victor once smiled at you. Adam warns him, flat and brutal, that he doesn't feel about Michael the way Victor does. And that sentence, if it's spoken out loud, lands like a match near gasoline, not an explosion yet. But the smell of danger spreads fast. Adam makes it clear in that calm, cutting way of his, that if Michael betrays Victor, Adam will punish him to the end. And Adam's to the end is never just a lawsuit or a financial hit. To the end means destroying your ability to live normally. It means poisoning every relationship around you until people fear standing too close. It means turning you into someone everyone avoids because they don't want to be collateral damage. In Genoa City, people aren't always killed by a gunshot, they're killed by pressure that lasts so long the mind finally snaps. And Adam knows how to build that kind of pressure. Michael knows it too. So he tries to leave the encounter the only way he's ever survived anything. By turning it into business, into legal strategy, into something he can manage. But Adam doesn't play by that rulebook. Adam plays with emotion held under lock for years, and once that lock opens, it hits the throat, not the brain. Adam says he doesn't like Michael the way Victor does, meaning Michael has lost the second safety net. He can't even comfort himself with, I'll explain it to Victor. Because Adam doesn't need Victor's permission to move. Adam can build a trap so quietly that by the time Victor notices it, it's already closed. And the worst thing Michael can feel in that moment isn't being attacked outright. It's being forced to wait. Waiting for Adam to decide. Waiting for Adam to pick the timing. Waiting for Adam to choose a method that turns fear into a daily habit. A habit of opening email with dread. A habit of answering the phone like it might ruin your life. A habit of walking into Newman's spaces as if the floor might open. Adam can do that without raising his voice. Adam can do that with a glance and a pause. And Michael, who usually controls a room by knowing the rules, realizes he's in a room where the rules don't matter. What can he say? That he's always loyal? In Genoa City, always is basically a joke. That he's trying to save Victor from himself? That's even more dangerous because it admits Victor is spiraling. And Adam off, all people won't tolerate anyone speaking about Victor. As if Victor is a problem to be fixed. Adam might be Victor's loudest critic. But he's also the person who refuses to let outsiders weaken the Newman machine from the inside. That contradiction is the trap. The more Michael explains, the more he sounds like he's confessing. The more he goes silent, the more he sounds guilty. So he tries to hold his face steady, his tone neutral. His hand still around that Roman coin while something inside him tilts. Because Michael understands Adam. Adam isn't the type who threatens for entertainment. Adam has been pushed out of the family, branded as the outsider. Forced to carve survival out of nails and blood. Adam doesn't hesitate to drag someone down if it's what keeps him standing. And he does it with a frightening clarity. And then the real horror isn't even Adam's warning. It's what Adam discovers next. Nikki is working with Michael to betray Victor. That word betrayal's heavier than disagreement, heavier than strategy. This isn't a debate about Newman Enterprises anymore. It becomes a question of who has the right to steer the wheel. Nikki and Michael aren't simply trying to save Victor from himself. They're planning to weaken Victor's control. Maybe even remove him from leadership because they believe he has become too dangerous. And I keep thinking about how they must have hidden it. They call it collaboration against an external enemy. They wrap it in a story that sounds reasonable enough to earn nods, noble enough to silence objections, but the real target is internal control. Suddenly, it makes sense why Michael comes to Victor, why he needs something, some signature, some approval, some decision to push the plan into its next stage. Michael thinks he can adjust the situation the way he adjusts a case file. But this isn't a file. It's a bomb. And Adam stumbles onto it. Stumbles, in Genoa City, is often a polite word for the truth that someone is always watching. Adam could catch a forgotten printout, a message that wasn't deleted, a meeting that ran too late, a name in a calendar. Or worse, he hears one sentence, just one, and reconstructs the rest like he's assembling a body. What makes it catastrophic is Nikki's involvement. Nikki isn't a paunch, the family's symbol. The moral anchor Victor clings to whenever he wants to prove he's still a husband, still a man with a home. If Nikki is part of the plan, it's not just betrayal of a company, it's betrayal of a marriage. A legacy, a story the whole town believes. And what does Adam feel when he realizes it? Anger, yes, but not only anger. I think Adam feels dragged into a vortex he's not allowed to stand outside of. If Adam sides with Victor, he goes against Nikki, the woman who is both his mother and also someone who has feared him, dismissed him, erased him at times. If Adam sides with Nikki and Michael, he goes against Victor and whatever Adam's resentment. Removing Victor is different than defying him. Adam has to decide who he is in this moment. But the worst part for Michael is Adam might not decide right away. Adam could hold this secret like a knife under his jacket. A knife that doesn't have to stab, just needs to press lightly now and then so you remember it's there. Adam can use it to control Michael. Make him feed information about every next step. Force him into being a double agent. Push him into betraying Nikki at the worst possible time. Adam might even want to prove a darker truth that everyone betrays when they're pressured hard enough. Michael could become Adam's example. Adam's lesson to anyone who thinks they can manipulate the Newman family from the inside. And here's what's truly terrifying. Adam doesn't have to expose the plan to destroy Michael. Adam can reshape the story first. He can rewrite Michael as the mastermind and Nikki as the victim who was influenced. He can twist saving Victor into a power grab. He can poison Victor against Nikki. And that is the nuclear option because if Victor loses trust in Nikki, the entire Newman structure shakes. Victor might become exactly what Nikki and Michael fear, more paranoid, more ruthless, more dangerous. The betrayal meant to stop Victor's worst impulses could create the worst version of Victor. It's a cruel paradox. Michael betrays to prevent danger, but the betrayal being discovered becomes the fuse that ignites it. So Michael gets trapped in a punishment that's more sophisticated than a direct attack. Adam makes him wait, makes him guess, makes him live under invisible surveillance. Michael starts losing sleep not because he fears arrest, but because he can't predict the phone call that will change everything. Victor, Nikki, Adam, or some shareholder Adam accidentally tipped off. Michael begins to doubt himself. Am I truly betraying or am I doing what's right? But in Genoa City, right rarely saves anyone. It just hurts differently. Michael thinks about Nikki. Nikki isn't easily manipulated, but she also can't bear being seen as a traitor in Victor's eyes. Nikki might be acting from fear, from the belief Victor crossed a line and is becoming dangerous to everyone, including himself. And Michael, out of respect for Nikki, out of long loyalty to Victor, out of pride that he can fix outcomes, agrees. Now Adam knows. And Adam won't stop at threats. He'll demand a price. That price could be power inside Newman Enterprises, a position, a signature, a piece of strategy. Or worse, a promise that Michael will betray Nikki at the exact moment Adam chooses. Adam might want to test Michael's limits, watch him break, watch him become proof. Michael faces a choice that isn't just painful, it's corrosive. Stay loyal to Nikki and be crushed by Adam and Victor. Side with Adam and become a puppet. Confess to Victor and risk immediate annihilation. Run, disappear, try to reduce the damage, but Genoa City doesn't let anyone exit cleanly. If Michael runs, Victor will take it as confirmation. Nikki will be isolated. Adam will win. And Adam won't stop at winning a person, he'll want to win the narrative. So Michael stays and he performs. He performs loyalty. He performs calm. He performs the belief that the Roman coin still means protection. But the longer he performs, the more exhausted he becomes, the more likely he slips. And Adam only needs a slip to push. I keep seeing it like dominoes, one touch and the whole line falls. Michael comes to see Victor and meets Adam instead. Adam doubts him, dismisses the symbol, warns him. Adam discovers Nikki and Michael's larger plan. Adam keeps the truth as leverage and turns it into a tightening noose. Michael starts to drift, Nikki starts to sense it, Victor starts to suspect more deeply. Newman Enterprises becomes a battlefield without gunfire but full of traps. And then the worst thing that can happen isn't Adam reporting Michael. It's Adam keeping Michael alive and controlled, turning him from a lawyer into a tool. From an ally into someone who has to ask permission to breathe. Adam can start with small demands: sign this, delay that, send an email. Then bigger one: shirt a deal, undermine a board vote, create a legal gap Victor can fall into. Each act leaves fingerprints. Each act makes escape harder. Until Adam can say, softly, almost politely, "You still think you're the good guy?" And that one line is enough to collapse Michael from the inside. And maybe the cruelest twist of all is this: Adam doesn't just discover the conspiracy. Adam uses it. He uses it to measure how much control Victor truly has left, how far Nikki is willing to go, and how much dignity Michael can hold before he breaks. If that's what Adam is doing, then Michael was never the hunter. He was never even a player. He was bait. And that Roman coin in his hand isn't a symbol of loyalty anymore. It's the sound that gives away his location in the dark, the faint metallic clink. That tells Adam exactly where to step next, and then, suddenly, silence right as Adam moves closer. There's a particular kind of unease in Genoa City that I never quite know how to name it. Isn't the clean, sharp fear of an obvious threat, and it isn't the loud rage of a clear betrayal. It's more like standing inside a house that's too polished, too expensive, too quiet, where you suddenly understand that the silence itself is the danger. Everyone smiles on cue, shakes hands on cue, says the "for the greater good" lines at the exact right moment. But there's always something in their eyes that slips away. Like everyone is already holding a knife, they just haven't decided where to hide it. And I keep coming back to Adam and that atmosphere because Adam is the kind of person who notices fractures before the whole structure has time to shake. He doesn't need proof right away. He just needs the wrong rhythm. A pattern that repeats a little too neatly. A run-in that shouldn't have happened. A name showing up in Nikki's day in a way that feels unnatural. And somehow Adam, almost by accident, starts noticing these odd, out-of-place meetings between Nikki and Michael, along with the strange, guarded way they carry themselves around each other, guarded not in a way that keeps outsiders out, but in a way that keeps people inside the family from looking too closely. I imagine Adam watching from a distance, not stepping in, not interrupting, just observing, and the longer he observes, the more it nags at him. Nikki isn't reckless. Nikki isn't someone who plots out of habit. If Nikki is suddenly careful, if she's choosing her words, choosing the exact moment to slip out of a room, choosing when to meet someone like it's a covert operation, then something is happening. That's big enough to make her afraid of breathing too loudly. And Michael is even more suspicious in his own way. He can look harmless when he wants to. He can turn anything into work, into legal process, into something that sounds tidy. But sometimes the people who are best at rationalizing are also the ones who give themselves away. Because they're trying to convince themselves more than they're trying to convince anyone else. Adam begins to suspect this isn't normal cooperation against an external enemy. Because if it's just about an outside threat, why does it need to be hidden like a crime? Why does Nikki avoid Victor's gaze like she's carrying guilt? Why does Michael drift close to her like a shadow, then vanish as if he was never there? Little questions like that in Genoa City, they're often the sparks that lead to explosions. And Adam, of course, doesn't let it go. He investigates quietly, not in a police way, but in the way of someone who has lived long enough in the Newman family to know that the truth rarely sits where you can see it. The truth lives in habits, in breathing patterns, in schedules, in doors that close too quickly. Adam follows them with a patience that feels almost frightening, like he's watching a play where he's already guessed the ending and is just waiting for the actors to make a mistake. And then he overhears a conversation. I've always felt that. Overhearing on the young and the restless doesn't feel like coincidence, it feels like fate. Someone is always standing in exactly the right place at exactly the wrong time. As if Genoa City itself arranges for secrets to surface. That conversation gives Adam what he both feared and almost expected. Nikki and Michael aren't just talking about saving Victor, they have a bigger plan. The real goal is to weaken Victor's control, aimed directly at his power at Newman Enterprise, because they believe he has become too dangerous. And in that moment, everything shifts from suspicious to toxic. Because saving Victor sounds like love. But weakening Victor's control sounds like a coup. It stops being a moral debate and turns into war. What makes my skin crawl is the disguise they use. They wrap it in the language of protecting the company from an outside threat. A story that's easy to sell to the family, easy to sell to the board, easy to sell to their own consciences. If they can tell themselves they're defending Newman Enterprises from an enemy, then they can believe what they're doing is necessary. But the core is internal. They're using an external war as cover for an internal takeover. And when Adam realizes that, I don't think he just feels anger. I think he's touched somewhere deeper where all his old wounds live. The part of him that remembers being pushed out of the family, treated like an outsider who had to earn the right to exist, while the people who belong are quietly sharpening knives behind the man who built the empire. It's complicated because Adam can resent Victor, can want Victor to lose power, can even fantasize about Victor finally being brought down. But being brought down by Nikki and Michael? That's different. It's like you have the right to fight with your father, but you don't accept someone else walking into the house and slapping him. Only Nikki isn't someone else. That's what makes it tragic. Nikki is the heart of the family in the soft way Victor secretly needs. She's the reason Victor can still pretend he's a husband, not just a war machine. If Nikki is part of an effort to strip his power, it isn't a cut to the shoulder. It's a blade between the ribs. So Adam finds himself facing a decision that isn't just strategist, it's existential. Does he stand with Victor or with Nikki and Michael? It sounds like a boardroom choice, but it's really a question of identity. Who is Adam in this family? The angry son who wants to watch Victor fall? Or the son who, no matter how damaged he is, refuses to let anyone weaken the Newman name in a way that could destroy it? His choice will reshape the future of Newman Enterprises and the family's power balance. And I think Adam understands that better than anyone. If he tells Victor, Victor will erupt, and that eruption could burn down the house. Victor will look at Nikki with eyes that no longer trust. He'll see Michael as a traitor to crush. The company could spiral into an internal purge, panic on the board, blood in the water, enemies outside smelling weakness and moving in. But if Adam stays silent and lets Nikki and Michael move forward, Victor could be removed from leadership, and the empire could slip into the hands of people who think they're saving it, but might actually open the door to chaos. And Adam could become an accomplice or a cowardly witness. Genoa City doesn't forgive people who just stand and watch. I keep thinking Adam won't rush into a public side right away. Adam is skilled at delay in a way that scares people. Like, he doesn't kill you immediately. He just reminds you that he could. He'll weigh motives and consequences. He knows Victor's motives by heart: control, dominance, the willingness to burn anything to win. But Victor also has something Adam can't deny. Victor protects the Newman name like it's religion. Victor can be cruel, but it's cruelty with empire logic. Nikki and Michael's motives feel more human, saving Victor from himself. But there's always a double edge to humane in Genoa City. Because if they truly want to save Victor, why choose the path of weakening him? Why not pull him back with love, with conversation, with gentle boundaries? Did they try and fail? Do they believe Victor has crossed a point of no return? And if they do, then they're granting themselves the right to decide. When a man is too dangerous to lead, that kind of power is terrifying. It's like telling someone you love them while quietly drafting their sentence. After the tense encounter with Adam, I can picture Michael snapping, half angry and half afraid, complaining that Adam acts like a mafia boss. And that line isn't just a complaint, it's a slip of truth. The more Michael calls Adam mafia, the more he admits he feels like he's being cornered, threatened, controlled. Nikki goes home and talks to Michael privately, and I don't imagine it being loud. I imagine it being exhausted. Long pauses, deep breaths, half-finished sentences. Because they both know they've crossed a line that isn't easy to step back over. Once they confirm they share the same goal, saving Victor from himself, they are forced to face the next painful reality. They need a way to do it without alienating him. And that's where the paradox presses down like a stone. How do you take power away from Victor without insulting Victor? How do you restrain a man who prides himself on being unrestrainable? How do you stop a storm without calling it a storm? Michael, with his lawyer's instincts, reaches for the most technical solution, sees control of the artificial intelligence program, and makes sure Kane takes the fall because Kane deserves to face Victor's wrath. It's an elegant escape route on paper. Instead of hitting Victor directly, they create an external target for Victor's rage, a pressure valve, a sacrificial offering. If Kane becomes the villain, Victor has something to destroy without noticing that Nikki and Michael are quietly shifting the internal balance of power. It sounds clever, but it also feels chilling because it uses Victor's anger as a tool. It manipulates the fury of a man who believes no one manipulates him. And if Victor ever realizes he's been steered, the consequence won't just be anger. It will be contempt. Victor's contempt can ruin people without ever laying a hand on them. Nikki is curious and she pushes Michael to tell her more. But I don't think Nikki's curiosity is casual. I think it's desperation wrapped in composure. Nikki wants to hear the plan because she needs to believe there's still a way to save Victor without destroying him. She needs a story to cling to. But the more Michael explains, the more Nikki might feel something uncomfortable settling in her chest. The moment you start correcting Victor with strategy, you're stepping into the very thing you fear you're becoming Victor. And that's the most painful psychological twist. You want to save someone from the danger of power, and to save them, you end up holding power in the same dangerous way. And then the real question starts echoing in my mind and probably in theirs. Even if they don't say it out loud, what is Adam going to do? Adam is the scariest variable because he can choose almost any path and still have a justification. If he tells Victor, he can claim he's protecting the Empire. And Victor, no matter how furious he is, may be forced to acknowledge Adam's ruthless loyalty. If Adam sides with Nikki and Michael, he can turn this coup into his own opportunity to rise. Or at least to position himself as the rightful architect of the next era. But Adam could also choose a third option, one that feels the coldest when I imagine it. He can keep the secret like a bomb in his pocket and use it to control both sides. If I had to guess, if I let myself guess with feeling, not just logic, don't think Adam destroys them immediately. I think he lets them take a few more steps so they believe they're in control. He gathers enough information so he can flip the board at the moment that benefits him most. He makes himself the man holding the switch. He can turn the lights on and show Victor the betrayal, or turn them off and let Nikki and Michael believe they're safe. That uncertainty alone can crack them before their plan even finishes. Michael will start making fearful mistakes. Nikki will start wondering whether Michael is strong enough to go the distance here, whether he'll break first. And once they start doubting each other, Adam can win just by standing still. Adam might even play an uglier angle. He can interfere with their plan to make Kane the target. If Nikki and Michael want Kane to absorb Victor's wrath, Adam can make Kane disappear at the crucial moment, or redirect evidence, or force the plan to collapse in a way that exposes Nikki and Michael. He might like that outcome because it gives him two victories. It proves Victor right to distrust everyone, and it strips Nikki and Michael of credibility, so they have to rely on Adam to survive. Adam doesn't always need a clean win. Sometimes he just needs everyone else weaker than him by a single inch. And the most disturbing part is Adam can do all of this while wearing the mask of "I'm protecting family" in Genoa City. Everyone can wrap a knife in the word family. Adam can convince himself that if Victor is removed by Nikki and Michael, the Empire will fall into hands that aren't ruthless enough to hold it. He can think, Victor is dangerous, yes, but Victor is also the shield. If Victor falls, enemies outside will tear Newman Enterprises apart. And if Adam truly believes that, then he won't let Nikki and Michael succeed, not because he loves Victor, but because he loves what the Newman name represents in the only way Adam knows how. But there's also a tired part of Adam. I think the part that's exhausted by always being the outsider. And if Adam sees a chance to step into the center at last, he will consider it. He'll look at Victor like a king who's grown too volatile for his own kingdom. He'll look at Nikki like a queen trying to protect the throne from her husband's fire. He'll look at Michael like an advisor who thinks he can control a blaze. And Adam will ask himself the question that matters more than which side. Who am I in this story? The rescuer? The destroyer? Or the one who rewrites the ending for his own advantage? When Nikki pushes Michael for more details, I can almost feel the unspoken dread between them. How much did Adam hear? Where is Adam standing in the dark? And that dread can make them sloppy. Because when you fear being overheard, you whisper more, you hide more. You speak in codes, and those very precautions can make you look guiltier. Michael will keep rationalizing, turning the plan into lawful adjustment and protection of Victor. But he'll feel himself slipping into gray territory. Nikki will keep trying to stay calm, to believe she's doing the right thing. But guilt will settle over her like fine dust. And Adam, whichever direction he leans, will understand their greatest weakness. They still want Victor's love. They still want to do this without being hated. And that's impossible because Victor does not forgive hands that try to steer him, even if those hands belong to his wife or his most trusted attorney. So what will Adam do with this coming betrayal plan? I think he'll do what he does best. He'll turn it into leverage. He'll let it breathe, let it grow, let it tighten around them. He'll collect details about the AI program, about how they intend to seize it, about how they plan to pin responsibility on Kane, about how they intend to keep Victor's suspicion pointed outward, while they move the internal chess pieces. And once Adam has those details, he doesn't need to rush. He can choose the moment of maximum impact when Victor is already stressed, when the board is already unstable, when enemies outside are already circling thin. He can drop the truth like a final stone. And honestly, that's what makes me sad in a very human way, even while part of me loves the drama. because I want to believe there's still something real inside the Newman family. But maybe the reason it hurts is exactly because there is something real. Nikki isn't betraying out of hatred. Michael isn't betraying out of greed. Adam isn't hesitating because he's innocent. They're all acting out of fear. And fear is the easiest thing in the world to exploit. Nikki fears Victor becoming a monster. Michael fears Victor being destroyed by his own rage. Adam fears being shut out and fears, too, that the family will collapse because the people who think they're saving it don't understand how fragile it really is. So the question, what is Adam going to do, isn't only about action. It's about essence. Who does Adam want to become here? And I don't think the answer will be simple. Maybe he saves Victor to save the Empire. Maybe he sides with Nikki and Michael to reshape power in a way he can control. Or maybe he does the coldest thing, he lets both sides bleed each other out and steps in to take what's left. And if that happens, the plan to seize the AI program and make Kane the scapegoat is only the prologue. The real thing being stolen will be trust. And once trust inside the Newman house is taken, I don't know if anyone has the strength to build it back. In Genoa City, you can repair a contract. You can sue an enemy. You can buy back a company. But you can't buy back the moment someone looks at you and realizes the person they trusted most is capable of betrayal. And I can't shake the feeling that Adam is waiting for that exact moment. Not to end the game, but to start a bigger onion where everyone has to pick a side. And no one walks away with their heart intact. On our TV Spoilers channel, I'm always looking for content inspiration for each video by compiling short video clips to analyze and offer my personal opinions. This channel specializes in analyzing, theorizing, and discussing plot points in the Young and the Restless series from the perspective of a longtime fan. Through this, viewers can gain deeper, more objective, and more interesting insights. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the latest news about the Young and the Restless series.